How fast can you make money in real estate? Guys, by the end of this video, you're gonna understand the time frame of what it takes so that you can do your first deal, so you can ultimately get out there and start making money in real estate. Guys, my main purpose and focus on this video is gonna be going over what is like our actual job as a wholesaler. What do we need to focus our efforts on? I'm next gonna talk about how once you get this home under contract, how you can just simply pass this on to a cash buyer. And then ultimately, I'm gonna put this all together smoothly so you can see how this whole process works from start to finish. So to start off, what is a wholesaler? Guys, another name for this is being a deal finder. Now, the cool thing about being the deal finder or being the wholesaler is you don't need to have a lot of money. When I say a lot, I can't say just no money. Yes, there could be some marketing dollars, or when you're driving around looking at homes, that's gonna pay for gas. So there is some money involved, but you don't need much of it. You don't need good credit. You don't need to be a real estate agent. And you never have to own the property or close on the property. And we're gonna break that down because being the deal finder ends up being the easiest way to get into real estate and start making money. Now, as a wholesaler or as a deal finder, you are ultimately meeting with motivated sellers. Now, what do I mean by motivated sellers? Motivation can come in like two forms. It can be attached to either the home or attached to the seller. The home because maybe it's in a distressed situation, maybe it's in bad shape, maybe it's broken windows, no flooring, the roof's been ripped off, maybe it's been burnt down, or it could be a distressed situation where the seller is actually going through a hardship. Maybe they lost their job, maybe they're behind on taxes, or maybe they're going through divorce and they're just looking for some options on how they can sell their home quickly. Now guys, the mindset is huge behind this. I know so many times when you're just getting involved into it, and even to individuals that I talk to nationwide and students that have been doing it for a couple years, they still have this focus on the deal. How do we get more deals? How do we get more deals? And they haven't really figured out what the job is, or the main job, or the main focus of you as a wholesaler. What should it be? If you can change that mindset from just going after deals, like I need my next deal, where's my next deal coming from? I need to get more deals. Instead of doing one deal this month, I need to do 5 deals this month. If you can just change that mindset, and really your biggest focus should be being a problem solver. Once you adopt this philosophy, you're gonna see that you're gonna open doors to so many more homeowners, so many more sellers that are willing to talk to you and really begin to do business with you because they get a different sense about you. They get it, they feel this trust. They feel this they feel this respect. They feel like they can do business with you because you're being open and honest with them. One of the ways to get real with this, let's say your mom and dad, that they are going through a distressed situation and they called you up and they said, hey son, me and dad, we're gonna get divorced and lost our jobs, we don't have any money. If your mom and dad called you tomorrow and say that, well, I'm hoping, I would do it this way. I would never be like, well, mom, dad, how many beds and bathrooms does your home have? Can you imagine if that was the conversation you had with your mom going through hardship? What if you could take it just a little bit further and say, Mom, I had no idea this is going on. How are you doing right now? How can I best help you? Can I go get your groceries this week? Can I take care of your dog this week? Can I help pay any bills that are outstanding right now? This is being a problem solver. This is something that I would be willing to do for my mom and dad. Now, maybe we can't go out and pay everyone's bills, catch them up to current on their mortgage, but being a problem solver is a completely different conversation, and that's how you start to build that rapport, and people ultimately do business with people they trust. So what are some of those ways that we can solve their problem? One of the big things that people are looking for investors versus just listening with a real estate agent is we can buy these homes as is. That's something that ends up being something that can serve them at a high level. Maybe they have a home that's completely trashed, or they haven't maintained it or kept it up in years, and now there's mold in the house, or there's water spots, or there's holes in the roof and it's been dripping into the attic, and now it's caused all this damage. Knowing that someone could come in and buy it as is, that they don't have to spend $1 to fix it up, that solves their problem. Other ways you can solve their problem is letting them pick the day that they close on. Letting them have full understanding that they have time to go pick a new home to go live in or figure out what plan B is before you close on their home, but that they already have it in their mind. At least it's sold. I know that I can move on to plan B, and when I find plan B, I at least know that a buyer's coming in and purchasing this home. The other one is being a cash sell. There's a lot of people that out there, they have to qualify for loans. They don't want to have to go through the inspection process and listening with the real estate agent and then finding out that, oh man, the mortgage company didn't even approve this individual. Now we got to sit here even longer. There's ways to solve problems without having to buy them groceries or having to pay their mortgage, but ultimately, it's just solving problems. If you get that front of sight, front of mind, you're gonna realize this will lead you to better conversations with your sellers and ultimately get more contracts. So when it comes to this, when you're being a problem solver, sellers are willing to sacrifice price, meaning maybe before they knew you, they wanted X amount of dollar. But because you came in and said, hey, we can buy this as is, because we're a cash offer, because we'll let you select your closing date, because there's no closing fees or no real estate fees, when they see this, they start to say, oh, I get it. This actually does make more sense. This offering makes more sense than getting top dollar. And because of that, they're willing to sacrifice on price because price isn't everything for them. This actually solves more problems for them than the actual money does on getting top offer. So when you serve these people, these sellers at a high level, ultimately what you'll do is the byproduct is you're gonna get this home under contract. And I like to do right around, let's say 40, 50, 60 cents on the dollar. So for round math, let's say you put the home under contract at $100,000 on a home that's worth $200,000 when it's all fixed up. Once it's all renovated, fixed up, put back on the property, or 50 cents on the dollar. What do you do from there? So what do we do now that we have this contract? Ultimately, guys, this is why I love wholesaling so much. In fact, when I got into the game, I had no money. I was very broke, like to my point where my wife says, how are we gonna pay our mortgage payment? That broke. Why I love wholesaling so much is just be the deal finder. Go out there, solve problems, and once you have the contract, all you're gonna do is assign or pass this deal on to a cash buyer for a fee. Remember talking about how, you know what, you don't need to have good credit, you don't need to have a ton of money? This is why. It's because cash buyers are out there on the sidelines all over the place waiting for good deals to be brought to them. They're the ones that want to fix and flip them. They're the ones that want to keep them for rentals. All you got to be good at is finding the deals, bring them to these cash buyers, and they will pay you. Now guys, the cool thing about this, the national average of how much you can make for just being a wholesaler and being a good deal finder is $15,000 per deal. Now you might be thinking like, okay, but where do you find these cash buyers? Now I'm not gonna go in depth because I got some more content I gotta cover in this. I'm not gonna go in depth on how to build that cash buyers list, but be sure to check out my other videos where I go in depth how to build step by step the biggest, baddest, most massive cash buyers list so that you have incredible cash buyers that are ready, like that are salivating, foaming from the mouth, waiting for those great deals when you become that great deal finder. All right, before I go through now and walk this through kind of like step by step from start to finish how this whole process will look like, I'd love for you guys to subscribe to my channel at this time. Also hit that bell so it alerts you when I put out fresh new content. This channel is dedicated to helping you guys grow a massive wholesaling business so you can get out there and consistently do deals each and every month. So let's break this whole process down in 4 simple steps. First one is you're going to get a home under contract at a deep discount. In this scenario, we talked about putting the home under contract at $100,000 for a home that's worth $200,000 or 50 cents on the dollar. The second step is you're going to simply assign or sell your contract to another cash buyer and you're gonna mark that up. So if you put a home under contract at $100,000 and let's say the national average is about $15,000, you sell that contract for $115,000. Now what does that mean? That means the cash buyer is going to bring the whole $115,000 and he's now acting in lieu of you, and it's him that's going to close on the property. The third step, ultimately your cash buyer, he says, yep, I want it. He goes to your title company or your closing attorney with the $115,000 so that he can fulfill that underlying contract that you put under contract with the seller for $100K. And then he is the one, remember we talked about you don't need to pay the closing costs, you don't need to close on the home, you don't need much money. It's because all of these closing costs and all of these fees are passed on to your cash buyer. So the fourth and final step, ultimately your title company, they're gonna get that whole $115,000 check. What they're gonna do is they're gonna cut a check for $100,000 to the seller that you put the home under contract with because that was the price you were gonna purchase it for. And then there's that $15,000 difference. That check is gonna be cut by the title company to you, the wholesaler, for finding the deal. And then here's the best part, guys. You get to wash, rinse, repeat, move on to the next deal while your cash buyer goes through the rehab, fixes and flips it, and goes through the headache of putting it back on the market. So how fast can you make money in real estate? That depends, guys. You really gotta look at this and see what is it that you want your journey to look like. Those that don't get guidance, those that don't get mentorship, it could take 6 months, it could take 8 months. In fact, the sad thing is it could be never because you end up just giving up. But those that get guidance, those that do have a great mentor, we've seen people do deals as quick as 30 days and definitely a lot in the 30 to 60 day range. And if you wanna tap into some guidance so that you can get out there and do your first deal in as little as 30 days, I've included a link down below in the description box that allows you to join our 30-day Do Your First Wholesale Deal Challenge. All you gotta do is tap on the link and reserve your spot, and I'll see you in the next challenge.